your wonderful, informative and comprehensive lecture, especially during the important consideration of the Soviet Union and Russia, not as an enemy, but it needs to make diplomatic discussion with Russia. It is important consideration to Japanese diplomacy either. Israel and Palestine also have very serious historical problems. In Asia, Japan was much more aggressive to East Asian continent, not China. The history of peaceful cooperation among China, Japan, and Korea are more important. And behind of all of them, there is the US global policy. Perhaps there is many questions and comments from the floor. We have a question and answer session of about 30 minutes. The time is very limited, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand first. Okay, thank you. We'd like to gather all questions at first, and Professor Sachs will answer all of the questions. Is it all right?
That's fine with me.
Thank you very much. So, please inform your name and affiliation at first, and explain any question and briefly as possible. Thank you very much. So, first, yes, give him one to Professor Togo. Okay.
Professor Baba, thank you very much. Mr. Sachs, Professor Sachs, are you watching us?
I'm not hearing very well, so...
Oh, you are not hearing very well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but with a lot of echoes, so maybe Professor Hamel will repeat the question afterwards also. Oh, there, that's better. Now that's better. Nice to see you.
I talk like I talk to this screen.
Yes. Yes, now I hear. Yes.
Good. Well, it's such an honor and pleasure to meet with you through this Zoom debate. Former diplomats in Japanese law retired in 2002, and since then moved to academia. In Moldova, my major expertise has been in Russia. After retirement, I developed my interest in East Asia. Naturally, I kept my interest in Russia, and so my major concern now is how to end this useless war as soon as possible. I was really tremendously impressed by your speech that February 21st, the European Parliament. You have described so eloquently what I have been thinking in this war, and on what should diplomacy do in such a situation. Well, exactly 1 month has passed from your historic speech, your Parliament. I'm wondering, has the situation improved in the past months, bringing us closer to peace? And my answer is yes and no. Yes. Because the best news is that finally, Russia and Ukraine began to talk on May the 16th. As a confirmation of Istanbul 2020 negotiations. Putin took decisively together. That's the only thing by Trump. It is the past game way here after Trump-Putin telephone debate of the 19th. And it is further continuing. No. European organs of war, UK Germany, Poland, last Zelensky, are adamantly resisting to this war. They insist that these talks were a failure under the pretext that Putin will not continue only immediate 1 month ceasefire. So, as early as the 2020s, European Court of decided to implement European sanctions against Russia. So, I have 3 questions. First about Putin. Do you think that the rule he insists to reform is fundamentally reasonable as a basis to end the war? I think so, but what do you think? Second, about Trump. Do you think he has been so far a useful mediator? He has at least succeeded in changing the paradigm of US policy from Biden's totally one-sided neocon diplomacy to a mediator policy take into account positions of 2 sides. MAGA diplomacy stands at the opposite end of neocon diplomacy. Am I right? And lastly, about Europe, which I really don't understand. Particularly the 4 old guard leaders. Why are they so obstinately against Russia? Is it because of genuine fear against Russia? Putin's image similar to Hitler? Or just Russophobia? Or it emanates from British geopolitical rivalry against Russia dating from 19th century? Thank you very much, Dr. Sachs.
Thank you very much, Ambassador and Professor Kogo. Very difficult questions. Professor Jeffrey Sachs, may I gather what questions? Is it okay?
Sure, okay, but that's a wonderful question Ambassador Kogo just asked, so I'm looking forward to answering that. But let's continue with another question or 2.
Okay, thank you very much. So, is there another question?
Hello, Professor Sachs. Thank you very much for your valuable speech, and I appreciate this great opportunity provided by Professor Pada. My name is Joshi from Japan. I was elected from Nagasaki, and my parents survived from the bomb in 1945, and therefore, naturally, I am so committed for the solution of the nuclear weapon. I'll come to it later, but I need to say that I'm so we are so impressed with your opinions these days. I watched interviews with Anna Carlson and your book interviews and the wonderful speech of the was already mentioned. And I've been contacting with your wonderful partner, Sonia, regarding this issue of free zone. Now, my question is, how did you put it about Japan? You said Japan has a global subsidiary of the United States. And I think I wish the advisor to Prime Minister Ishida at this very moment. You are very important juncture of the Japanese foreign policy choices. The recent poll of the Japanese people says that about 50% of the voters are saying that we are doubtful about U.S. protection of the conflict, especially we are doubtful of the nuclear weapon deterrence. And my question is that Germany was seeking neutrality as Western, however, they were not allowed to be a neutral country. And the biggest chance was maybe 89 or maybe 81 that the building was out. And now this dividing line has called the German Green Belt, which is wonderful. and we are looking into Korean green belt, which is 38 known for power. Now representing the Korean War against US, China, with US-China conflict in the background. What do you think of creating Korean green belt at this moment? Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Inezuka. He is the second generation of Nagasaki atomic bomb, and also the second generation of Hiroshima atomic bomb. So his question is also very important for Japanese people. So the next question will be the Diet representative, Mr. Doresa Takawa. Please.
most of the US military is in Okinawa. Almost 7% of military bases are in Okinawa. So, これから日本語でいいんですけども、yesterday and also about 2 or 3 times in the session, Defense, Roma and Defense Committee, I introduced your lecture in Europe. So, これからちょっと質問しますね。沖縄の基地を今のサクさんのお話では、東アジアの平和を作るためには、沖縄はすごくキーストーンというかね、大事なピースのキーストーンだと思います。で、中国との軍事歴史はとても長い沖縄です。特別な関係がありました。もちろん台湾もですね、ずっと前から同じような両ある方をしていました。小琉球が台湾と大琉球が沖縄だったということですね。それと、日本の間もですね、そういう貿易がありましたね。そういうことで、小さな沖縄地域が歴史的には東アジアをですね、ずっとつないでいたというのがありますので、今、連日だけこれだけ進出していると、実にもったいないんです。他の使い方でいっぱいあるはずなんです。それをね、やっぱり日本政府はもったいないと思ってないんです。きっちりしてくることが重要だと思っているんですね。で、今、いろんなミサイルを配布してますけれども、ぜひですね、これをテストしたい。特に沖縄の日本政府に言ってもダメなので、アメリカ政府にもうこの近代20年言ってます、毎回ですね。そんなあまりがちがあるので、僕は国連に入れて、それをやりたいと思ってますので、ジョンさんですね、お話、本当にウクライナの問題がありましたけれども、国連に行くことがとても大事じゃないかなと思っています。だから最後に少しだけ言いますけれども、2022年の2月24日からロシアの軍事侵攻がウクライナにありましたけれども、その1週間後に参議院でロシアのウクライナ当時は軍事侵略決ですけれども、侵略を決議、抗議する決議、非難する決議というのがありました。私はただ一人、一番最前線に座ってますけれども、危険をしました。立ち上がって出てきました、そこから。出ていく間が大変でした。国民とね、南の活動が、うまく出られながら、そこから一緒に出てきました。もちろん私は出席にはなっています。 大会でも全然できませんでしたけれども、危険という形で、ですから、これが実は今日の沖縄のものとつながっているということ、実際の背後は、あるいは沖縄の南渓谷は、そして、台湾有事という言葉は、その日本のですね、ウクライナ国会のですね、このウクライナ決議は、このたった2022年の1年間の間に、ミサイルが沖縄にどんどん配備されて、必要なくなったということがあります。それ、本当にこのウクライナの問題を、足が違うなと、日本政府が言っているので、それをですね、どうやって防いでいくかということで、もしよかったら、お答えをですね、いただけたらと思います。
Thank you very much for Mr. Takala and his representative or counselor. Thank you very much.
I was not doing
Professor
information. Yeah.
Professor Haba, if you would like us to translate, otherwise Professor Sachs can understand what the counselor just mentioned. So let me just give them time. So the question about the resource concentration in Okinawa, and this is for the peace in East Asian region. And you mentioned one friendly relationship between Japan and China, and Okinawa has in terms of very special relationship with the country, of course, Taiwan as well. While Okinawa is called Big Ryukyu, Taiwan has been referred as Small Ryukyu, so they are very familiar elements. And they also has trading relationships. So the small review of Taiwan has been the bridge in the East Asian region. So now I think that the use of Okinawa as only as the places for the US bases it's not effective, and this is not acknowledged by the Japanese government, because for the Japanese government, the presence of the US bases is very important. But on the other hand, we have to think about the situation in Okinawa, and the Japanese government would not understand our views, so we talked to the US government, and we've been speaking with them for about 20 years, but it's no effect in that. So now, what we have to do is to talk to the United Nations. We also talked about the problem with fine, so I believe that the talk to the United Nations is very important after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and at the Japanese Upper House, the members condemned the invasion of the Russia. And at the time, I was the only one who abstained at the, from the voting, and I was harshly criticized for the movement. I was there, but I didn't vote. So now, the willingness has been referred to Okinawa region, Okinawa, and only after this the upper house resolution of the crime. So we believe that there's a concern that the climate situation would be maybe a possible future of East Asia tomorrow. So I'd like to hear your opinion about this prospect.
Great.
Thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
discussion from Professor Ha.
Professor Sachs, I appreciate your conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I ask you two questions in Japanese, okay?
Absolutely.
そうです。
私はですね、私は朝鮮学教授を務めていまして、当時、金融省と金融省が北朝鮮の詳しいですが、あったことがあります。 3ヶ月ほど現地に登場して、当時の北朝鮮のさまざまな状況を見てきました。その政府関係に含めてですね、2つのことを質問したんですが、まず最初にですね、ウクライナ情勢に関するサックス教授の研究を聞いて驚きました。というように感動しました。私は今のことと全く同じだったわけです。つまりあれば、バイデンの戦争であると、トランプ新大統領は以前から批判していましたが、サックス教授が同じようなことを言っていたので、アメリカのこのような展開は以前からあったんだと感動しました。それとですね、私が聞きたいのは、サックス教授が先ほど中国は、世界最大の経済大国になったと言われました。私も全くそれは同感です。で、それを踏まえて、これからの世界は、人生論はすでに終わり、フランス戦争の当事者になりましたから、当時のウクライナ、G7 の首脳ほとんどが退陣したんです。つまり彼は失敗して敗北したんです。つまり G7 はそれほど権威が落ちたし、G7 をするだけじゃなくなった。その意味で、これからはアメリカ、中国、ロシア、いわゆる新ビッグスリーの3関係と私は考えているんですが、その点はどうお考えでしょうか。これが第2点がですね、相当する中国の認識ですが、バイデンはそれを権威主義、専制主義、この支配と人権に関する先制体制であると、そのような認識のもとに、反中国の暴力を知りました。その延長線上に、実はウクライナ戦争が起きたり、つまり、ここで重要なのは、中国をどう認識しているか、これだと思うんですね。先ほど、サックス教授が、これまでの話ならば、日本、中国、韓国、この関係が重要になると。全くそれは同感です。ただ、それにおいて重要なことは、中国が目指す社会体制をどう理解するか。習近平は明らかに社会主義現代化強国と言っているわけです。毛沢東時代に遡っていると批判する声もありますが、私は全くそういう問いだと思っています。ただ、毛沢東時代は生産力があまりにも低すぎた。それを鄧小平が改革開放政策で資本主義競争経済を部分的に動きました。そしてその成果が今出てきて、中国経済が実質 GDP でアメリカを向かうわけです。この点も数年後に持ち込みますね。こういう中で、中国の社会主義を目指す体制と、いかに共存していくかは重要なポイントになると、そう考えているんです。それが、つまり中国と平和的な体制競争が、これからの世界のポイントになるなと私は認識していますが、そういったサックス教授の見解を お伺いしたいと思います。Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Han Hao. It is a very complicated and historical question, so please translate his opinion. Thank you.
It was Professor Han Hao from the Korean University, and he says that he had an opportunity to meet the King soon. And at that time, he stayed in North Korea for 3 months, and he saw the situation of the North Korea firsthand. And based on that, the professor had 2 questions. So first of all, about the question, first he would like to mention that he was moved by hearing your opinion on the Ukraine situation, because that was exactly the same as what he has been thinking. And he thinks that this Ukraine and Russian conflict that we are witnessing at the moment is a Biden's war, just like President Trump has been discussing. And third, the fact that Professor Sachs has stressed the same opinion. So let me prove that still in the United States, there are some people who are sharing the same view as we, and it's very nice to know. And China, I mentioned that is the largest economic superpower in the world, and I totally agree with that. So going forward, thinking about how this world is going to evolve, I suppose that the G7's reputation has been tarnished, because they were one of the players who were engaging in Ukraine conflict firsthand, and the fact that if this war has not ended, is the failure of the G7 leaders. And that is the reason why all those leaders were decided to go into this European war retired at the moment. So I'm going forward to the G7's reputation will fall, and they will never have a need of having a G7 forum in place. So if that is the case, and I suppose that what is going to happen afterwards will be the new big four countries to merge, the US, China, and Russia. So that's my view, but what is your opinion on that? This is my first question. And the second question is about how to assess or see whether China is a socialist regime. So this made the statement, I feel that although the Biden sort of covers China as authoritarian regime, with the violation of the rule of law and humanitarian rights. And based on this assumption that the United States or the Biden administration has been forming this group of like-minded global countries who tries to encircle China. And I think that this kind of movement by the United States is bringing on the same European war. So my question is, how do you see this in China going forward? So you mentioned that Japan, China, and South Korea both, and I totally agree with that. But I think some of the people may sort of have some concern that China is a socialist country. And that's people may be criticizing on that. And some people may say that the current China was a kind of the repetition of the Mao Zedong era. But I think that there is a difference between the 2 eras. Because in the past, the productivity of China was low, but it is not least right now, thanks to this overall strategy for people that they show. And I think that this effort is very good nowadays. In terms of the European economy is always surpassing that of the United States, and in terms of the non-emerging, probably China will overtake the United States in a matter of a few years future. So I think about the role going forward is going to be extremely important. How can we coexist with the socialist China? So that's my point. What's your take on this?
Sorry, so many questions for you. Is it possible to answer all that?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let me thank everybody for very, very rich questions. I cannot give justice to the depth of these questions. I apologize, our time is short, but I'll make some quick remarks if I'd like. First, with Ambassador Bogo. he asked me three questions. Is Putin's analysis of the root causes of the Ukraine war reasonable? The answer is yes. President Putin is accurate in how he describes the root causes of this war. Second, is Trump's reaction accurate and reasonable? And the answer is yes. President Trump is trying to do the right thing. He wants to extricate the United States from the war, and he understands that NATO should not enlarge, and that on that basis there can be peace. Third question, why is the Europe so obstinate? And this is a puzzle for everybody. Every day I have that discussion with people all over Europe. There are several answers. The most general answer is a kind of Russophobia and the belief that if Ukraine keeps fighting, even if Ukraine is doing the dying, somehow this helps Europe. This is a big mistake. The European leaders are wrong and self-destructive. If you ask me where that Russophobia comes from, the two main Russophobic countries are Britain and Poland. Poland, because of its history with Russia, although we should remember that Poland invaded Russia as well as Russia invaded Poland. But that is neighbors that have a long history. Britain actually is probably the most warlike of all of the countries. This is because of the British imperial dominance for nearly 200 years. Britain almost always has liked war in the last 200 years. It made war on China. It made war everywhere almost in the world. And Britain is very Russophobic, but not for any legitimate reason. So I tend to discount British Russophobia. In fact, if the United States stops its military support for Ukraine, there will have to be peace. Otherwise, Russia will simply defeat Ukraine. So I believe that we are heading towards peace. Japan could play a very useful role in this, in the G7, to call for peace on the basis of what President Trump is trying to do. Japan certainly should not be taken in by the British, the French, and so forth. And also, by the way, Canada, very strangely, has a strong, aggressive Ukrainian minority. This has roots after World War II. It's a long story. But Canada, which normally is rather peaceful, has a very strong pro-Ukraine, anti-Russia view. And Canada is the host of the G7. I would urge Japan to align with President Trump in calling for peace in Ukraine on the basis of neutrality of Ukraine. This is the bottom line. And this can happen, and President Putin will stop the war based on neutrality and, of course, other issues being resolved, but there is the basis for a reasonable peace. And Ambassador Togo, I agreed with every word you said on your interpretation of this. Senator Inuzuka, thank you very, very much. What an honor it is to meet you. Your question is about finding a green belt zone for peace in Korea. And I would say, yes, this is possible. But I would say that your question and Representative Tahaka's question about Okinawa and Professor Vanha's question about China are all related. What is needed is regional security arrangements, not U.S. security arrangements, but actually Japan, Korea, China, North Korea, and Russia actually discussing with each other Now, of course, I don't want to say this is simple, but the fact of the matter is all 5 Northeast Asian powers, the Republic of Korea, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Russia, China, Japan, all have an incentive for peace in Northeast Asia. And the United States has the incentive for division, not peace, division. Because the U.S. wants to keep its dominance over Japan and Korea, or it wants to keep Japan and Korea in a subservient role. It wants to surround China. This is not an approach for peace. At best, it is an approach for deterrence, but not a very successful one. It's a high risk of war, the way that the U.S. proceeds, especially vis-a-vis Taiwan. So I would urge direct diplomacy of the countries of Northeast Asia. What would be an effective collective security arrangement? How to address the mutual concerns of the different countries of the region? How to say to China, you are the biggest, you are the most powerful. How can we be safe in your presence? And China can answer that question when he can give his response. Let the foreign minister explain the perspective. Discuss how this can be best accomplished. What can be demilitarized? How solutions can be achieved on a collective security basis? How hotspots can be reduced in tension so that the approach is a peaceful approach. I firmly believe this is possible. There's another interesting grouping for the region, and that is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the 10 countries that include China, Japan, Korea, and the 10 ASEAN countries. This is also, and Australia and New Zealand, excuse me. So it's 15 countries in RCEP. This is also a very useful diplomatic group. My basic belief is that neighbors should talk with each other. Neighbors should deal with each other. Because outside powers like the United States don't understand the region and try to meddle in the region and try to keep their advantage in the region through division, not through unity. If there is peace of Japan and China, the United States says, oh, we lose our foothold in Asia. We can't dictate terms anymore. And so the United States wants to play the game of protector, but maybe it's not needed in this game. Maybe peace can be achieved by the countries themselves, and I firmly believe that, also based, as I said, on 2,000 years of history, and especially on 500 years of history before the British showed up in 1839. I have a theory that most of today's problems in the world originate with the British because they were the imperial meddlers. And we should stop the imperial meddling at this stage. So this is what I would really recommend. It's very important now to try this approach because the United States is actually ready to spend trillions of dollars on new nuclear arms. This is very dangerous, militarizing space, adding artificial intelligence to nuclear weapons, terribly dangerous things. But maybe if there's peace in the region, then it's possible to say to the United States and to Russia and to China, don't do that. We don't need another generation of a nuclear arms race. We certainly cannot afford a confrontation over Taiwan. All of this, I believe, is absolutely possible and should be tried with a very, very high priority. In the final questions, is the G7 tarnished? Yes, it is. The G20 is a better instrument for global diplomacy than the G7. The G7 is too much a narrow grouping of countries led by mostly belligerent countries. This is a problem. I don't believe, I said already many years ago the G7 should be shut down. It's not the best process that we have. Now, should it be the big three? No, not quite. What we need is in each region of the world, good diplomacy. So we need in Northeast Asia, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, China, I should say, DPRK, Russia, 5 countries discussing with each other. They may not trust each other and like each other in every way, but diplomacy can sort out a lot. And this is what I think is important. Not to leave it to 3 big countries, although they should mutually stop a nuclear arms race, but regional cooperation is especially important. Finally, this question, can China be trusted as a socialist country? I don't think the word socialism means very much anymore, and not in the Chinese context. China is a mixed economy. It's got a major private sector, it's got a significant government sector, it's got a significant planning ministry. It's a mixed economy, market and state. By the way, it was Japan that invented that model. Japan invented MITI. In China, this is called NDRC. That's the MITI of China. Japan invented the mixed economy approach. Japan was never a pure market economy. Japan was a guided economy, and it worked very, very well. The United States stopped some of it because it was working too well. But I think METI or MITI played a very important role, and so does the Chinese government. But that's a success story. What Japan figured out is that technology is the underlying driver of progress. And government is very helpful for technological advancement. Japan invented the flying geese model of development, how to stay in the lead of technology. This is what China is doing. So you can find it very comfortable. A lot of good, familiar institutional design that shares a lot of what Japan actually pioneered. So I am not afraid of China. I think it's a success story, but it's not a frightening country. It's just a success story. If you put China and Japan together, and Korea, boy, that's a world-leading center for the world economy, for the green, digital, peaceful transformation of the world. So that's what I'm hoping to see. Thank you very much to everybody for the chance to be with you, and I hope we can continue the discussions in future weeks and months.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, for your excellent I think there are many other questions or comments, but it is a time to wrap up. We'd like to conclude with Professor Jeffrey Sachs' excellent and wonderful lecture. Thank you very much, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, for delivering such a wonderful and comprehensive lecture for the people of Japan today. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。ジェフリーサックスは出られましたけれども、まだ少し時間がありますので、お話をされたい方は、日本語で結構ですので、どうぞ。では、オンラインは閉じても大丈夫か。はい、それでは、それでは皆様ご協力を本当にありがとうございました。
時間が限られていて質疑ができなかった方もいらっしゃるかと思いますけれども、非常にまとめていい答えをいただきました。皆さんの方からもしよろしかったらご意見いただきたいのですが、いかがでしょうか。組織者でもあられます和田先生に少しお話しいただきたい。
今日はさっき先生もそういう考え方
マイクはそこじゃない。
あのぐらいの文章にアメリカの良心と言ったのは私なんですけど、しかし実際今アメリカの状況を見ているとサックス先生の一家としては暴力というものに対して私そういうふうにお許しする手すりではないかと思います。それでウクライナ戦争を止めるという方向で、トランプ大統領が出てきて、いろいろな努力があったわけですけれども、それがやはり今の状況では少し、悩んでいるという状況に差し掛かっています。しかし東郷さんがご指摘になったように、ロシアとウクライナが停戦交渉を再開したということが決定的に重要なことであって、これがなければ停戦がいかないと思います。アメリカが間に立って仲介したら戦争が終わるというものじゃなくて、やっぱりロシアとウクライナが戦ってきたのですね、この2つの国がとにかく現実を見つめて停戦するという気持ちになるといけないと。で、朝鮮戦争の時には停戦交渉が始まりましたから、それまでに1年近くあったわけですけれども、停戦交渉が始まってからも実際に停戦の協定が調印されるまでに2年かかっています。で3年で朝鮮戦争が終わったわけですけど、ウクライナ戦争も3年を過ぎていますからですね、これから停戦交渉が始まって、それで、まだ戦争が続いていくという状況にはならないようにするためには、やっぱり大きな努力が必要だと思います。これは世界中の人々の努力が必要だと思います。実はちょっとサックス先生に少し何か新しい方向を提案していただけるんじゃないかと思っておりましたが、サックス先生がおっしゃったことは、要するに日本に期待するということ、日本は働くべきだということでした。で、私もそういうふうに思っています。やはりトランプ大統領がああいうふうに言って努力もされたわけですから、アメリカの同盟国だと言っている日本の石破首相が農林大臣の首を切っている時代にとどまらずにですね、やっぱりウクライナの停戦のために働いて、でウクライナを助けていくべきじゃないかと私は思います。それしか道がないんじゃないかと思います。ヨーロッパの問題については、もうヨーロッパの諸国は伝統的なロシアに対する反発、依頼がありました。実はこれはもう今で始まったことじゃありません。19世紀の真ん中のクリミア戦争というのがありましたが、クリミア戦争の時にまさに起こったことは、イギリスとフランスとイタリアとトルコがロシアと戦ったんです。で、セバストポーリ要塞が陥落しましてですね、ロシアは敗北をして、それでロシアは改革大学へ進むんですけども、
その時からヨーロッパ側のロシアに対する嫌悪、嫌いというものが非常に強かったんですね。でそういうことを当時表していた代表的な人物はカール・マルクスでした。マルクスのロシア批判がそういうものでした。マルクスはロシアの革命家と付き合うようになって、しっかり考えを変えていくようになりましてですね、80年代には変わるんですけども、1850年代には非常に典型的なヨーロッパのロシア依頼を表している立場でした。そのことが今もある意味では続いていると、伝統的に見てやっぱりヨーロッパから見てロシアは危険なものとか異質なもの、警戒すべきものという感じがあってですね、しかしそれは100年じゃなくて1850年からですからね、なんですか200年以上ですか続けているという状況からヨーロッパは脱しなきゃならないと思います。ですからところがそれが非常に難しい。だからヨーロッパが非常に難しいので働いてもらえませんと。ヨーロッパがウクライナと戦争するのをやめるという気持ちにならないと。トランプに続いてですね、そういうのはいけないんですけど、まだそういう気持ちになっていない。だからウクライナはそのためにして戦争を続けられないかなという気持ちになっているのでしょう。ですからウクライナの友であった日本がやはりもう戦争を止める時じゃないかということを働くようにしないとこのロシアとウクライナの停戦交渉うまく進まないんじゃないかというふうに思います。そういう意味で言うとそうだということが今日はサック先生のお話から出てきたということが我々にとって非常に重要であったというふうに思います。よろしくお願いします。
はい、ありがとうございました。サックス先生としてもこんなにたくさんのレベルの高い質問が日本側から出るとは思っていらっしゃらなかったんだと思います。ご質問に対して十分にお答えいただく時間がなかったかもしれませんけれども、本当に貴重なご質問を、たくさんの方々からいただきましてありがとうございました。サックス先生も言われましたけれども、今後も話し合いを続けていきましょうということでしたので、ぜひ2度目にも来ていただきまして、さらに議論を続けていきたいと思いますし、今和田先生がまとめてくださったように、じゃあ日本は平和を作っていくために何をするのかという、私たち自身の主体性にも疑問を呈された、期待をされたということだと思いますので、今日は本当に多くの方々のご参加いただきまして、素晴らしい講演と、そして素晴らしい質問をいただきましてありがとうございました。同時通訳の方々にも本当に活躍していただきましたので、ちょっと拍手を持ってお願いしたいと思います。どうもありがとうございました。今日は本当に貴重な時間をとってご参加いただきましてありがとうございました。それではこれで会を閉じたいと思います。どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。